All right, Carmen, this is the brutal reality of the NFL. The Lions were 7.5-point underdogs in this game. I think going into it, a lot of people would tell you they're just happy to be here. It's been this incredible ride for Detroit, an amazing season that they'll remember forever. You feel like that kind of changes a little bit when you let go of a 17-point lead in this game.
Yeah, every guy that we talked to in the locker room was like, I don't care if we had made the playoffs or if we made it to this round. It doesn't matter. We lost. And the job wasn't done. And this wasn't what they felt like this team was capable of or the full capacity of what this team was capable of. So there were some guys in the locker room that said this was worse than not making the playoffs. There's nothing that hurts more than coming so close and having the Super Bowl within reach and not be able to go out there and take it.
We can talk about Dan Campbell's decisions on fourth down in a minute, and I want to, but I don't think that stuff exists in a vacuum either. I mean, you see drop passes on third and fourth down. You see a Jahmyr Gibbs fumble right after the Niners kind of re-enter the game. Did it feel like the Lions got rattled by the magnitude of this moment at all? Because that's how it felt watching it from a distance.
It did, and it also just seemed like the Lady Luck turned, which was one of the, like, in the beginning, it was every ball was going towards the Lions, every bounce, everything was going right. The 49ers had absolutely no answers, and they came out of halftime. They made some adjustments on both sides of the ball, and on top of that, every ball went their way. These guys were finding, the 49ers defense was finding every spot to get to. The 49ers receivers were finding every soft spot in a zone against this Lions defense. It just seemed like the luck changed, and you had all of the momentum in the first half with the Lions, and it just fizzled out in the second half. I don't know that I would call it that they crumbled in the moment or the pressure got to them, because we've seen them rise to these occasions time and time again. But it certainly seemed like there were some unlucky bounces of the ball towards the Detroit Lions in the second half.
I said it earlier on the show, like there were so many just moments of bad luck in this game that are going to have Dan Campbell losing sleep for probably years, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about it. You've covered this team all year. You know them better than anybody. I mean, this is what they do, the aggressive decision-making, and it's paid off for them so many times. So I'm curious. I mean, it's easy to kill Dan Campbell in this moment, and I would have kicked at least one of these field goals to try to preserve a 3-possession lead in the second half. But knowing the caliber of the team that they're up against, what do you think of it? What do you think they make of it that, you know, they didn't stray away from this philosophy, but it did wind up biting them in the end?
Running back Dave Montgomery said it in the locker room. He said, we are behind Dan Campbell 100%. We are 100% supportive of these play calls because, as you mentioned, this has worked out for them so many times throughout the season. And part of living by the sword means that you die by it too. And we've heard so many people say, listen, it's worth it. Being this aggressive, being this just gunslinging, Wild West type of offense that's going to make you defend all 4 downs is worth it, even in the times it doesn't work out. So now that it didn't work out, you can't cry wolf now, or you can't backtrack all of those sentiments. It was still worth it. It's part of the reason the Lions got to where they are right now and got this far into the playoffs is because of that aggressiveness. And listen, against a team like the 49ers, you are not going to beat them by playing conservatively. Honestly, the 4th down decision that I was most concerned with, or that I think I look back on and say, I would have done something different, is where they did kick it at the end of the first half. And instead of going for it from the 3-yard line, Dan Campbell elected to kick the field goal, which is so unlike him and so out of character for this Lions offense that's the only one that really gives me pause at this point.
That is a really good point. Not a lot of people have brought that up. Is it doesn't necessarily mesh with his typically aggressive nature. My logic for it was just that, hey, we've played so much better than even we probably expected. Let's not look a 3-possession lead in the mouth. But it is interesting. They come to that decision at the end of the first half, and they're in a very similar situation midway through the third quarter, and they come to very different conclusions about what they should do. I wonder, what do you think the rationale is there?
I think that when you're on your heels and you're kind of backed into a corner, this is where you try and get more aggressive. You try to get those plays. We saw Ben Johnson call that flea flicker, trying to get something started, get these guys juiced back up, and show the 49ers that the Lions are not going down without a fight. And I think that was absolutely Dan Campbell's rationale for kind of reverting back to what he knows and what he's been doing all season. Like, hey, this got us this far. Why am I abandoning it now? Let's keep going for it.